Ready for inspection.
Where's your guitar, Dustin? You should be jamming with Draplin.
It's right next to me here, but I think it'd be weird with the latency.
Yeah. Welcome to the Honest Designers Show, your transparent look into life as a modern designer. My name's Tom Ross, and I'm the founder at designcuts.com. And this week I'm joined by my fellow Brit and hand lettering expert, Ian Barnard, American retro design expert, Dustin Lee, and the ever-talented South African illustrator, Lisa Glanz. In this week's episode, we are seriously pumped to welcome a very, very special guest to the show. Today, we are joined by Mr. Aaron Draplin, who is one of the most respected designers in the industry, a bit of a personal hero for all four of your hosts, and undeniably a super engaging character too. I want to caveat this conversation by apologising for some minor audio issues. The audio may not be quite as sharp as you're used to listening to, however, Aaron drops some incredible knowledge bombs throughout this episode, so we hope that you get a ton of value from it wherever you're listening. Without further ado, let's get into the show. So today I am beyond excited because we have a fantastic guest on the show. We're joined by Mr. Aaron Draplin. It's truly an honor. I'm sure all the listeners already know Aaron. We've mentioned him several times on the show already. There's a ton of background I could give you, but some of the highlights, Aaron runs Draplin Design Company. He's released the Bmx Brand, which seems to have sold millions of copies. He's released pretty much everything, an incredible hardcover book. He's done work for Nike, the Obama administration. He's got a prolific speaking career. He's done over 300 speaking gigs in the last 7 years. He's got posters. This is a busy guy. Online courses, you name it. But Aaron, truly, it's an honor to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you. Good morning.
And thank you to our mutual friend, Dave. I have to give a shout out to Dave Clayton. Amazing guy. He actually kind of set this up and introduced me to Aaron. So Dave, when I next see you, buddy, I owe you several pints of beer.
My favorite Englishman right there. There he is, number one.
That's the currency. It's better than the pound at the moment.
We've become buddies. He's a good guy. I know that he last week, we usually talk about graphics and things and stuff, and he lost his dad, and it's like that's when I was like afraid to write him. He's a buddy. The next time I come over there, I'll be not only just trying to work with him, but just hang out. So hell yeah, Dave Clayton. All right.
100%. And he let me know you actually reached out to him about his dad, and I think that really meant a lot. So
yeah.
That's nice. So I would say on a personal level, huge amount of respect for your work, but also I feel like the more I dig into your career, the more I like kind of what I see just with how you tend to do business. It seems to be with a real integrity, how you regard clients, how you kind of respect the craft, have such a passion for it. And I'm going to stop kind of embarrassing you with all this good stuff.
Keep going, Tom.
But yeah, in short, really excited to have you here. And
thank you.
I would love to know, actually, to kick things off, I think you're kind of known as a bit of an analog guy with how you do things. You have this real kind of timeless retro vibe to your work. And do you feel a particular tension as the digital world seems to be more and more prolific? I know you're also, very prolific with the Adobe suite, with all the digital work you do. Do you feel a kind of tension between that analog and digital as the world moves in that direction?
Well, not really. If I'm making notes here for something, this is the safest space I can really do it in. It's like on a piece of paper. And for me to take that sketch into the digital realm, it's not the tools. The stuff that freaks me out when we go to the Adobe thing every year is we see how they're kind of getting in bed with Microsoft, and there's flickable, swipeable new little bits of technology that are coming and stuff. That scares me because I'm a mouse guy, right? I know how to use a mouse. But I would adhere to that. You know, it was a privilege to even be able to go from drawing into a computer to then do the architecture in the computer, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm more freaked out by the quickening of the communication and the multiple opportunities to either bum someone out or be like too many flies to swat, you know, because it just turns into this thing where, I mean, I'll be really honest. Like when I opened up your thing, I saw that you guys have your act together, but it was like, shit, do I have to go download new apps, new notification things, new recording software? And what's scary is there's enough stuff out there. Every podcast you do, there's a couple different flavors of things to use. And then what happens is at the end of this, as someone who's lucky to have people interested in me, I have a mountain of apps I'll never use again.
Yep.
Like my Skype, I only use that for these things. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like that, I don't know if you even have to pay for it anymore, or it's only when someone prefers Skype. So what scares me is I didn't even know what Audition was.
Yeah.
You know, and for everyone listening, that's software that this group uses, you know, from Adobe. Fine. You know, I didn't even know what it was. I use Illustrator 90% of the day. I use Photoshop and a little bit of InDesign for invoices. And I'm cool with all that. That stuff works. It's awesome. Yep. But, you know, I hope that answers that, because it's like there's just this big hole sometimes where it's like, what do you mean you didn't know about this? And for one was Astute Graphics. Now, I know that I'm not working for them. I just use the stuff hourly. So there's a plug, but more like you guys should get this stuff because it works. Yeah. I didn't even know it existed until I went to the UK a year ago and met that group, and they gave me the stuff and I use it like I would pay for, you know, or this other thing, it's called Better Rename 9, which allows you to like quickly rename without like a bunch of files.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful. Now, one day before that, a couple of years ago, I was going through and clicking every file name and then copying stuff into that. And I didn't know that app existed. So the scary part for me is like, the more that I get to meet people, the more add-ons. What am I missing? What could make my life quick? But it's more like it always kind of complicates things too sometimes.
I've got a term for that, actually. So I used to use this when I was talking about people's web designs, and that was the area of design I was really involved in as a freelancer. And I would say you Frankensteined your website, as in they bolted on piece after piece and they never take stuff away. So that whole like keep it simple, stupid thing, right? People are shifting away from that, not just with the software, but with the design itself, I think, where they're making it so convoluted. It's like having a house that's full of crap, but you haven't got a solid foundation. And
or too many rooms, you know, it's
yeah,
like you only need so many rooms.
My phone's a testament to that.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, you seem to embody design at its core, right? At its simple,
Nice.
you know, its simplest, at its most beautiful. That seems to be what you're all about. I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts on that beautiful simplicity.
Yeah. Well, you know, it makes me a little prickly to be like the word retro, but of course it is. But I like to think of it more as like, you know, of course, I like to try to elevate myself out of looking at dead things and making something new out of that. I try to elevate myself so I'm not stuck back in that. But wait, I'll stop. Is John Contino a retro typographer and artist and stuff? No. He took a new twist on something that we're all comfortable with, which was the grain and wood and pine tar of baseball-y kinds of stuff, or something on the side of a wood box. And he made it feel like fresh to me. Now, somewhere in the world, that stuff does exist, you know, and it's not, there's nothing retro about it. It's just, that's how they put the writing on the side of a wood box in India or something, because it's time tested, it's work. So yes, I mean, I love things that are like, you know, that take me back to a simpler time as far as like, you know, just graphics, only graphics. Because I don't want to go back to 1950 when people were, well, frankly, less humane to each other, you know? So fuck all that, you know? But I get attached to that stuff. And it always hurts when some, you know, grad student, because they're missing the point. The point is, I'm just looking for tools. And I'm trying to make things that, okay, I mean, and I could be wrong, but I'll see something I did in 2005 And it looks like something I did 3 days ago. But what's fun is in 2005, there was none of that stuff happening, you know? And it's like, I helped elevate Cole Headwear or Union Binding Company, you know, which were my clients, with this sort of looking back, because these things worked 60 years ago. They still work on that little bit of packaging or something, you know, they still work. You know, these are little mining stickers right here. I'm just going to pull one out and show you. This is from probably 1984.
Nice.
So, okay, now let's see if we get that thing in focus. Anyway, now if we do, you know, I've done 50 different kinds of little hands and things and stuff and whatever. But this still works. Now, is that retro because they kind of invented this thing in 1977 or 1987 or whatever it was here? Well, I don't know.
I think maybe retro is the wrong word. I think timeless is the right word.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at it as tools. If right now ribbon typography is already kind of dead, like, you know, like whatever Hish did 5 years ago, that's people are, you know, are like learning how to do now. She just made something new with that. You know, if you go back far enough, you'll find something like that, you know, in the pushpin era or something. If you go back far enough, you know, and there's just something about how, you know, people sort of illuminate, you know, some little way, you know, and I would just hope that when I was on the clock for someone, what I made for them was appropriate for their brand or their app or their Instagram or their Twitter or their sweatshirt, you know, like big, because that's what Saul Bass taught me. That is, those principles don't go in and out of style, you know?
No.
You know, when you see me make something goofy like, you know, Futura Bold on a, you know, on a, this is an homage to a ration can. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's tongue in cheek. But if you walked up on this and this was some logging company that made this thing, like there's nothing pretentious about that, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I like about it. You know, when people can't tell because they don't know the history of me mining these things or my friends or my heroes or my colleagues, they just walk up and go, where did you find this? It's cool. Because it feels right.
I've got a question around that because you started your sort of design career in the 90s, didn't you? Is that when you sort of... So how did you stop yourself from chasing design trends and just focusing on like the stuff we've just been talking about, or you've just been talking about? Because I look back at my stuff, because I started like late 90s, and I look at my stuff even from, you know, into 2000, really embarrassed. I can see that it was what other people were doing, and it's not timeless at all now, and it's just something I'd rather forget than, you know, put on a poster like you have, you know, because your posters look amazing because all the stuff works, even though some things are from ages ago, some things are from recent. Or is there no secret?
Well, no. I think you're brave for saying that, because that is the truth. Nothing is weirder than, you know, some guy pushing me around backstage and his portfolio is filled up either confidently with a bunch of stuff from the 90s and looks like the 90s, but he's pissed that the, you know, what do we even call it? The teens? What are we in? We're in the 17, you know, 18.
I don't know what you call it even. It's weird when we hit the 20s again. For sure.
So he's pissed that, you know, the teens here, you know, his stuff just doesn't fit anymore. Well, it doesn't. You know, but it was, you know, some big hot shit in 1995. But he stripped all that post modern garbage out of there because, you know, frankly, it was very masturbatory, you know, and it's like, with all due respect to masturbators, all right, I'm sorry to bring them into this, but, you know, it's just this weird thing where it's like, when I went to school and I had, you know, this really lucky shot to get back into it. Up to that point, I had only trained myself. All I could look at was I could look at a design annual at Powell's here in Portland, skim it for the things that really punched me in the face. And it was Chuck Anderson's and the House Industries and all this kind of goopy vernacular and stuff. Good copywriting, good type, you know, etc. But I would go and emulate that stuff. That's how I learned. You know, you know, after a while, you feel like, oh man, like, you know, like when I went to school and they put Scott Makula, David Carson, whoever the hot shit was at that time, you know, in front of you, and then we were going to emulate that stuff. that stuff felt super pretentious. And what it did was when I was aping CSA, frankly, Charles Spencer Anderson, it's like there was respect for 50 years of popular mechanics. When I tried my hand a couple times at trying to make this, like, you know, puke on a page and then let it all settle in the corner, and it's like, so, you know, whatever. I understand that it had to happen.
Yeah.
It wasn't about communication. It was about art and fashion and who could out-piss the next person. And I just could, I don't know what that was, but it scared me. And it was like, this is just cake decoration. Like,
Yeah.
at the same time, thankfully, someone showed me, you know, Jan Tischhold, and something that was from 1960 or 1955 that was about the grid and Swiss modernism. And we looked into that too. And then it was like, then to go and dip my life into that stuff, like, because, you know, people always come up to me, oh, Futura Bulb, you know, I know my way around the grid too. No one knows that anymore because now they see thick lines, this, and this, but I know how to make a page. I'm proud of that. That's in the book. I tried to show that. So, you know, it's embarrassing, but I saw people at the time take that and run and then wield that. And that scared me because I just knew that's like, you're going to have to strip all this shit out at some time. You couldn't sell this in 10 years. It's sold only right now. I want to be involved in things I can sell the rest of my life because it makes sense, because it's functional, because it might not be cool, but it works. And I got made fun of in art school because I said things like, when I'm done here, I'm excited to go make a living, not revolutionize graphic design with a bunch of, you know, a bunch of crap. I wanted to go work and make a newspaper or make packages or make ads for magazines, because that's the things that seem to keep working. Yeah, so I don't know.
No, I love that. And we've actually talked quite a lot recently about art versus design perhaps having a more commercial application and that kind of thing. And I know you've actually said a couple of things yourself in the past, like the beautiful quality of undesignedness and function over fashion and that kind of thing. And I really like that. And I think for a lot of people listening, I know a lot of the listeners tend to get swayed by the latest trend. And maybe it's like, if you're looking to emulate someone, I guess what you're saying is it's fine to emulate, but emulate the old school masters, emulate the people who are in themselves timeless, and your work's probably going to become more timeless.
Yeah, I mean, I would just hope it's appropriate. You know, it feels like when you see something new from me, be it you know, like, look at my Instagram, you know, it's like, I just can't show new work all the time. I want people to enjoy that I found something dead, played with it, and then put it out in the world for people to enjoy. But I don't know, the last thing was like a yarn thing or something, you know, and it's like, because I want that when I go into Instagram, you know, I don't want to see any work in process, because it's like, it's not fair to the client. Does that make me old fashioned? That's why, you know, I'm real clear about Dribbble. It's like, I have a Dribbble account because I couldn't show you the things I worked on yesterday. And I worked on a bunch of stuff, but I couldn't show you. I mean, it had to do with cheeseburgers. It had to do with backpacks. It had to do with, what else did it, you know, shipping things to London. There's all kinds of stuff I worked on yesterday, but it's like, I could never show that. I'm so freaked out when I see someone show something that's halfway through, because it's not fair to whoever's paying you to do that, right? So, like, you know, I try to use the tool of, like, pulling back what I do to be completely transparent and say, here's something new I made, this little spectrum cluster or something. You can see the new work on my site or Instagram, you know. But, you know, I don't know. There is something about, like, you know, you can learn through emulating. Sure. Yeah. I did. But I had just enough shame in me to be like, I'm just taken from that person. That's not good, you know? And it's a weird time right now. A couple years ago, and I'm not gonna really comment on the people coming after me, because that shit's just weird. I'll just say it. Make your own way. I had to make my own way.
Yes.
You gotta make your own way. Whoever's listening, make your own way. But a couple years ago, when I met Dana Tamagashi, I don't know if I say her name right, but when I met Dana, does the most beautiful chalkboard work. You know what she said? She was like, I'm like, I just wish people would let Dana be Dana. I said this to her, and she was like, well, I don't really do a lot of the chalkboard stuff anymore because, and you know why. That like broke my heart because it was like she did something so beautiful that I enjoyed so much. And I thought to myself, she hit something so original, and let her let her fly around the world to go and let me enjoy that chalkboard up at this coffee or whatever,
Mm.
But you know what? Because she's that person, she went on to the next thing, found the angle. Lisa Congdon.
Mm.
She's a buddy here in town. I don't mess with Lisa Congdon, all right? I don't mess with her. That girl she is just great. And every morning I get enjoyment from her stuff when I'm flipping through it. Look at that big gnarly hair right there. Look at that thing. If you were to just right now take my desk and just get all the skin cells, dried things, hair, debris and debris, and put it into a little pile, it would fill my hand right now, and you could eat it. Just take a big bite of just me right now, just dandruff and things and hair and disease. Next question.
I've been dying to ask you something because I followed your work for a long time, and I've gotten lost a lot of times on your personal site. And I feel like you walk this line that's like so hard to walk, where you're probably the most, to me at least, the most successful designer commercially, in terms of a lot of people buy field notes and different things like that. I guess what I mean is like you travel a lot of people, you're in demand. But at the same time, it never feels like you're pandering or trying to get people interested. And like I go to your site, you have like a whole area attributed to your dad and all these things. It doesn't seem like you're trying to get people to be interested, but you just naturally are. And I'm curious, do you have a strategy? Do you have any tips, or is this just totally who you are with no strategy behind it? I hope that comes across. I'm trying to explain it.
Dustin, first off, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad. I'm glad you have the posters behind you. Thank you. I mean, I know your name and I know what you do and I dig it. And it's like, thank you. It's like, but it's like, I met just enough graphic designers when I was in school who were a little too full of themselves. This is in Minneapolis. Minneapolis has an incredible design scene, right? And I met a couple of them who were my age. And it scared me because it was like, they can't even talk to me. I'm just a fan. And these weren't guys that I was looking up to. These were just like people doing other things at that time. And I remember one time I had this little business card set that I made 50 of. And I would just give them to friends. Purely, I mean, there's a phone number on there. I guess you could, or an email. I mean, I didn't even have a cell phone at that time. This is 98. And I remember one time giving it to this group of guys, and the way they dissected it, they were threatened by me. They were like instantly putting up a wall of like, who are you and what are you trying to take from our scene here in Minneapolis? Remember, I was a visitor. I was there to learn, and then I ended up leaving back. I went to California or something. I didn't stay around Minneapolis. But it scared me. It was like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to work that way. I don't want to approach. When someone approaches me, I don't want to be this person that instantly put up a wall and say, you're threatening our postmodern graphic design with your grid or your thick lines or your little icons or whatever I was making in 1998. You know what I was making? I was making shit in school. But I still always found time to make my own stuff. A business card, a little funny mock-up for a band, or some freelance work to make a little bit of money, whatever it was. So to answer that, it's like, I don't know. You only get one go around, at least so I know. I don't know. If I was to die right this second, do I go to Catholic heaven? Well, that's what I was told. Maybe when you step on an ant, does an ant go to ant heaven? Well, if it's just dead, it's just dead. I know this is dark, but it's like, well, this is my shop. I want my shop to be something that I didn't have, and it is, which is comfort. I can be in a sweatshirt and a t-shirt and sweatpants because it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. But what I am rated on is like the power of my email, how cordial I am, if I can spell or not, and I try to spell well. It's like that platform, I had to use it creatively. Twitter, I numbered every single one of them because I saw how people didn't use it creatively. I watched it for 6 months. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to make every single tweet mean something. Because instead of it just being ha, which is just litter, no context for me, I'm still having to scroll past it. I'm still having to go, that made me want to just turn the whole thing off. But Jim from Field Notes was like, no, you got to use it, man. It's a fun tool. If you're good about it, So I've tried to be that's just another thing. It's like sizing up where you're at and learning how to be, like when I got my first studio job, we worked all day, 9 to 6 or 7. But because we had a full studio, I would stay late and like make card sets and things. Because you know why? I had more room at the studio than I had at my little apartment. It was a privilege just to be in there, to have like a ping pong table to fill up with your cards that were drawing from your screen print project on your GoCo machine. I couldn't do that at my apartment. So I'd stay late, and no one else did. They were gone. They were off to like, I don't even know what people go to, craft breweries.
Probably.
Babies, sport. Gives a shit about sports. But I mean, all I'm saying is like, it's the same thing in here, and now, from this fine line of like people being interested, like I have a hard time saying no, because I just feel like it's all going to go away. The shoe's going to drop.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to go away. So, my girlfriend's always monitoring, like, you're going where, when?
So, Lisa, actually, did you have a question? It sounded like you were gearing up.
I wanted to ask you, because it's something that I still struggle with. You seem to be so comfortable sharing so much about your personal life and your experiences, like your dad and your dog. And how do you do that? Do you do that with ease? Have you always been like that? Or is it something that you developed the more, popular you became, the more prolific you became? Like, how did you get to that point?
Well, I liked writing letters when I was a kid.
Yeah.
With friends who went overseas, and then the wait for that letter to come back, it was exciting. And I've kept a journal since I was 13,
Wow. And do you still?
Well, not as much, but I have 13 to probably about 23 pretty well locked in, stacks of things.
That's
pretty
impressive.
Good time capsule.
That's impressive.
This is kind of it now,
Yeah.
The sentiment and the sediment that you'll see going through the website. That's kind of it too. But really what it was just seeing the technology and being like, wow, with one email, this is 1995, with one email, I can send it to 10 friends and give them an update on what I'm up to. Now, one day before that, I had to write 10 letters and 10 stamps and 10 envelopes. And now I could say, here's my update. We called it, I think it was the Draplin Industries Gazette. And I got up to
That's
about
cool.
30 or 40, I don't know what it was, but it was like, then I would send those to buddies and there'd be little snippets of information. Oh, I moved to Alaska to work for the summer. I finally got a computer. Hey, if you want to get, here's some work I did, whatever it was. It was like an email blast. But I would mix in the same exact way that I would talk in the letter. I guess on a business level. If there was something with my dad, I talked about it. Or when I got Gary, he was just a little character to mess with, Now, granted, that comes with some responsibility because, I'm not going to air any dirty laundry. I did some of that. I still regret it because someone got hurt because of it, And that is a long time ago. And all it was like, what, I made fun of a band? Like, frankly, Kid Rock, that shit's warranted, right? That's just the worst. But that's just me taking a shot at pop culture because they asked for it. But if you harsh on someone's something and they're one of me and they read it, I just learned my lesson quick. That's just not the best way. You don't need to be that kind of person, And yes, I'm opinionated, but it's not like I don't want to wield it with a really sharp edge. I don't know how to say that, but
yeah,
whatever would be sort of sensitive about my dad or my mom or something, I wouldn't talk about that. They were caricatures. They were things I loved about them. And that to me is something that I had to share because I was lucky to have it,
Mm-hmm.
So it's just this weird thing because, my mom would squirm. Oh my God, you detailed this that we went and did. And I would say, well, right. But, I could have went deeper and said, turns out my mom drank 11 beers that day. If she does listen to this, she'll be, but there is a level that you have to get to. And I didn't want everything to be business. That's just boring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is my life. And it is a project. And if you're interested, cool. Because my favorite bands, they told you how they recorded, how they traveled, how they toured, how they came up with money, how they lost money. They told you everything.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thing is, we talked about this recently, and we said one of the most powerful things you can do as a designer or anyone in business or whatever is to be authentic. And I think by the sound of it, you're just doing it naturally. But a lot of people I know struggle with like imposter syndrome, not just with their own authenticity, but they doubt their work. We've heard from so many listeners who are racked with insecurity of I'm not good enough, my work sucks, I might not ever get good enough to make it. Like, have you maybe got a message for those type of people going through that right now?
Yeah. Enjoy this stuff. It's okay. First of all, there's no sash that says Aaron Draplin is. Who gives a fuck about that? Who cares who won the race? Who won the? I went to a Trailblazers game. They lost, and people were pissed at the. This is a basketball team in town here. You guys know what a basketball is? It's round. You dribble.
Yes.
But the Blazers game, like people were pissed, and I just was like, I was so thankful that I was just there to see how beautiful those kids were up and down the court. These kids who were supporting families, uncles, cousins, and things, who realized the American dream and the millions of dollars they have if they do something good with it. That's what my brain went to, was like, wow, I'm lucky to even be around this, to be this close to the court. I don't care who wins. So there, just to kind of say, awards, gives a shit about awards. You don't take that with you when you die. What you take with you, if I was to go tonight, in some kind of splat, hopefully it's that I enjoyed this along the way, that I got to help people make their thing a little better, or I got to make something for myself that I didn't see coming, so, I understand that there's like, people are worried about how many likes and stuff they have, but I'll just say it right now. The people that you're going to be the most interested in, they're not concerned with that stuff. They're just doing it, And
Correct.
You can feel it. You can feel it on them. You hear it. They're not, I'm not going to name it, but I remember a buddy who bought followers.
Oh,
and if you went and looked at their 140,000 things, they're a bunch of yak herders in like Kenya and shit. You have to buy this stuff. And it's like, with all due respect to, buffalo, wranglers in the desert. I don't know, it was weird. That's weird. Now listen, I can go and scroll and get down to the, whatever, and go, these are all fake. They're not following this person, whatever. That shit's weird. That says something about someone's character. It says, I mean, so, I don't know, please don't measure yourself based on those things. When people freak out in front of me and say, I just don't think my work's good enough. Okay, get better. And how are you going to get better? They're not going to let you do it at your job. So how you're going to have to do it? Sorry, you have to do it on your free time when you're working at the house. It's not going to be some shit where you buy followers and you're suddenly something. That's not real. So you got to put the hours in. Now, there's some silver lining here, which is like, what if it's fun? I just had a good time when I was making graphics as a kid.
Exactly.
It was fun. It was a hobby before it was something that I had like some, knife to the throat. I like to say like, oh, you better get your job done. You better be here on this time and all this kind of stuff. It was just fun.
People lose that though, right? And we talk about that. Like Lisa gets to draw bunnies for a living, and it's so easy for people. As designers and creators, we can get so bogged down in, like you say, the deadlines and the taxes and stuff going on with
Well, that's
clients,
just business.
social media, like
That's just business.
yeah,
Yep.
it's all that side of things. And I think we can kind of lose our way. And when you actually step back for a second and think, I get to draw for a living, or
Yep.
I get to
Yeah.
move a cursor around on
amazing.
Photoshop for a living and create amazing stuff.
Yeah.
That perspective, I think, gets very lost for a lot of people out there. And I
I
think
think
you're quite a good figure in the community to remind people of what really matters, to be
I
honest.
think what was neat to me was looking through your book, pretty much everything, and seeing that even when you were just starting, you were making all these little things for yourself. Like you could tell you were making things thinking, I think it'd be pretty neat to have this. And when I saw that, it kind of made me like, oh, like I forgot, like I have permission to do that if I want. I can make little things because I think they're neat too. I mean, he did it. Why can't I do it? And that's what I think is so neat about it.
What is the proper gender of knighting someone for all the our female friends? I mean, when you knight someone, does everyone just get knighted?
Dub someone? I don't know.
And then let me just bring a tidal wave of permission from Portland, Oregon, just whoosh, that just washes all down your throats, that just says, you can go and just have fun with this stuff and enjoy it and make shit just for the sake of making it, because that's how you learn. And I mean, so Lisa, the bunnies, if she can turn that into a business where she has to worry about taxes and things and stuff and all this stuff and emails about emails and all that meetings about me, okay, still doing it with bunnies, that is so fucking cool. Because I can't get down to this shop quick enough in the morning because I get to do it making bullshit around the shop. I get that. That's my bunny, right? So, listen, if it's making, I'm looking for something stale around me. I don't know, there's nothing stale around me. It's all incredible. If it's making scissors and you have a job making scissors, and you don't like going to work for Fiskars or whatever because it's a corporate job and you got a boss above you and a boss below you, so what? So what? You're working. You're making scissors. You're making graphic arts for, it's like we lose track that one day selling insurance, you'll be racing back to what you're doing. And there's not about imposters at that point. You'll be racing back to one day working outside. See, I know I do all this talk about creative block and making fun of it and how we slather ourselves with that shit. And that's something because we just don't know how easy we have it. We don't know. You go outside. Okay, I'll quit fucking with the guys putting out the pylons on the road crew. But I washed dishes for 4 summers in Alaska, right? Cry with me, Lisa. Ian, choke up. Dustin, punch yourself in the face. Tom, take off the sport coat. Okay, now, I did that for 4 summers. I know what that's like. And I can just tell by how clean I have, these are scars, man. These are scars that affect my guitar playing because I hurt myself, because I know it's like to cut my finger off with an X-Acto blade. Do kids know that? Well, I don't know. I know what it's like to have waterlogged hands, and then it hurts when I go to the Kinko's that night to go work on graphic design, all in my free time. I know what that's like. I have that perspective. You gotta be able to size up where you're at and be thankful for how you have it, because then when you get home and you're like, bills are paid, I'm insured, I'm this, I'm that, the commute's done, it's this. Now I've got 4 hours to work, and I'm not going to do some bullshit Gary Vaynerchuk stuff where he's like, it's just Tom Robbins, just a little bit tougher, That shit just freaks me out. I don't want to be that. That turns into this weird stuff where someone's word is gospel, and then that, people, are getting their funds drained by some televangelist right now. Right now that's happening. I don't want to be anything like that. If you buy my book for $40, thank you. Turns out I make a tiny little piece on that thing because that's called publishing. That's as real as it gets. But if you come to my workshop, I'm going to give you a couple hours of for that $60. We're gonna go deep, and I'm gonna show you some tricks. But it's not this thing where I'm gonna tell you to quit your job. Don't quit your job. Don't worry who's the best. Don't worry if your graphics aren't up to what you think it ought to be. Then you got to go do that in your free time. They're not gonna let you do it at your job. So
Have you always
Next
felt
question.
this? Have you always felt this associate? Because it sounds like you have this like strong affiliation for like the blue collar kind of working class. When I was watching one of your videos, you reminded me of like a Bruce Springsteen, like the way he is with his whole like storytelling of the whole working class, and the factory worker.
Bruce Springsteen has some of the cleanest skin and perfectly fitting jeans that you will ever see. So don't forget that is like an act, like anything,
No, but what I mean was the way he has a connection with that kind of person. It feels that you are the same, but for the design world, in a way.
Well,
I don't
thank
know. Yeah, it's like where did they come from? Have you always been
Well, you
like
can
that?
see me squirming because I saw people that never lifted anything in their lives, and I know what it's like to lift all summer long.
Yeah.
Okay. If you also notice, I'm a perfect half circle right now. If you take my head and just do this right here, it is perfectly. Look at that.
I could use you. As
I'm just seeing the shapes here. Whereas Tom has a beautiful.
He does.
Tom, do you guys have any ugly people on your podcast? I have to ask. Okay. Listen, I go to these fucking design firms. I walk in, and I'm like, you don't hire any ugly people here, do you? Like someone left the gates open.
I've got beard envy. I've got I'm follically challenged. I've got the beard ambitions of a baby right now. Yeah.
Well, okay. What was the question again?
I was saying about your. It appears you have this strong a connection with the working class.
Yeah. Well,
where does it come from?
Well, I hope I do. I mean, I come from that, but I am really careful to put a big asterisk on that and say, you guys, please don't let this become a parody, because it does fast and it becomes disrespectful to someone who is blue collar. Listen, this is pretty white collar shit. I'll just say.
Yes, absolutely.
A tax planner. I have, loans. I have savings. I have, a CPA. I have buddies who don't have any of that stuff and they don't even do their taxes. Yeah. That's a little more real, right?
Yeah.
So I have to play by the rules and I have to be good about things and it this idea that I'm the working man's designer, that is total bullshit. I've had good jobs the last bunch of years where I made more than you make if you're putting out the pylons, So I'm very thankful for that. I want to be comfortable in my skin, I want to be comfortable in my job. I want to be comfortable working with my clients. If I can work with someone who's a little more, who gets to even judge, but they're just down to earth to me, I'm going to do better work for them and we'll get it done even quicker. The scary part is you just see how, business acumen can choke things because it's professional with a capital P, and yet they're wasting time, or they're spending too much money on their annual Christmas corporate party. Mm-hmm. I worked for a place in town here called Cinco, and one year we're gonna have another big party. They're fun as shit. You drink and fight and screw and get presents and eat and everything's fun, right?
Sounds like fun.
One big night. Sounds fun, right? Reminds me of a joke. There's these two mountain men, and they're walking in the woods, and he sees the mountain man, and the other man, and he goes, "Hey, I see you came over the glade to my glade, and over the mountain to my set of trees and my stuff." And he goes, yeah, I'm hunting, fishing, and trapping. I've been hunting and fishing, trapping too. And he goes, hey, tonight at my cabin at the end of the glade, there's a party. The guy goes, a party? He goes, oh yeah, it's going to be great. There's going to be dancing. There's going to be drinking, eating, playing cards, wrestling, fighting, fucking, sucking. And the other guy goes, that sounds like a fun party. Who's all going? He goes, oh, it's just me and you. I worked at this place and like no one even knows how to laugh anymore, and even Gravik does. I say that I tell those stupid jokes, that's one of the last jokes my dad told me, and I just, Dad, wow. But one year they donated all the money to a charity, and I remember being so honored because it broke down our comfort zones. And I remember
Yes.
people wanted to have a party. You worked all year long. And it was like, no, man, that $3 or $4 grand, or I don't even know how much it would have been, it went to helping someone. And that's pretty cool. And that's what I was trained as a little boy.
Yes. I've seen, Aaron, you've done a lot of free work actually for people. That's a big part of your career, right? Just helping people out. And I think the way you put it is you help little people look bigger than they are, and they wouldn't have that opportunity otherwise, right?
Yesterday morning, I came in here, had a mountain of emails, had a list of things to do, had meetings, but I still made time to make logos for my buddy's band out in Montana. Now they asked for one logo, but I made them, I think I did 5 t-shirt things because it was just fun. It was purely fun. There's no money. When they make a t-shirt, they might make one for me. I'll get a sticker, but it gives them some merch for their merch table. And I did it with my fingers. Now, the fun part about this, if I put that in my thing and someone says, God, we like the Weaponeers too, and we like what you did for the Weaponeers. Could you do that for our band called the whatever, something. And then they see the example. They don't know that there's no money. They just see the spirit. Now, I love when people put selected work because they're picking the hottest, coolest shit to show on their selected work. Of course they are. I like just kind of putting, here's my favorite stuff. Because when you go through my list on my little bio, there's things I didn't make a penny on. I'm so proud to say that. Because that's kind of what Cinco showed me in that one little bit there is like, I'd rather have us be known as the people that gave away the Christmas party to help people than had another big fucking dumb party.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
I'd rather be known as the graphic designer who went after a lot of bucks, but still made room for no bucks just because it was fun or just because maybe, and that's where, to answer your question, there's been stuff just to help people too, Like I'm working for projects right now where frankly, it's all for equity, where there's just, you're rolling the dice, and it's like, if that thing takes, I own a piece of it. If it doesn't take, it was still fun to make the logo and be with people.
You know what I love, Aaron? Because we've talked about that exact thing. And the fact is, there's designers who haven't done anything yet, and they're super early in their career, and they're turning down and turning their nose up at stuff like that and saying, I'd never design for equity, like, freelancers and free, that kind of stuff. And ironically, they probably look up to you where you're at, and you're still doing that stuff. Well,
how do you want to spend your day? Today, I have so many things to do, and I have a list. I'll get, through 80% of it, and then I'll be anxious about the other things I didn't get done. I do that every day. But in that list, I make time to go do the recycling. I make time to go look at all those t-shirts that are all fucked up back there. I have to go, to tune my guitars. I make time to go read the news and be horrified. I take time to, check on my bank accounts. I take time. I mean, what I'm doing is I'm trying to be contradictory here. Like, yes, I plod through what I promised that day. Yes, but I make time just to go work on a goofy little logo I'm working on because we get to do that. You don't get to do that when someone's over your shoulder, bearing down on you and going, "I'm gonna need you here on the weekend." Yeah, right. I know people are in those things, but there's ways of getting your mind. Put headphones on, man, and just get through your work, and then. Don't stay past 5:01. Go home and put that time into your own time. But if that's not someone's instinct, I'm not going to say they're wrong or right. But if it is your instinct, you're good. You're going to be okay. What's it take to pay the bills? What's it take to just learn to enjoy this stuff? Well, sometimes one person gets to do all of it, and that's me. That's me. I'm joking.
Aaron. You had mentioned anxiety about getting all the things done. And I have like really bad anxiety. And I'm busy, and you've got to be 100 times more busy than I am. So my question for you, and I think a lot of other people that go through this too, is you have so much on your plate. You've just talked about so many things you're doing. What's your perspective on anxiety or handling all the projects? Like I have this creative pep talk book where you like put like a piece of artwork in there and it says get cosmic, and then you started talking about just think about how all this happened, like how we got where we are. And I love that kind of stuff because I guess it gives me a perspective that makes me feel less important and makes me feel like less worried. But anyways, I'm a really stressed out dude, and I'm curious how you handle the anxiety of so many obligations.
Hey, man, I applaud you for saying it because, some people, I don't know if I have buddies who take medication for that stuff, and that shit's okay. It's called being a human, There's nothing embarrassing about that, or, I don't know what level of severity you have or whatever. I don't know if I, need any of that, but the idea is I work myself up into a froth, because I feel like someone is going to be pissed because it's called old fashioned. But if I promise something, that is the first thing on my list. If it's something where there was a compromise where I'm not paid what I should have been paid and they know that, well, then that shit can slide, but I still am respectful to the project, and it's like, it just comes down to this energy and how you delineate your day, and I mean, frankly, today I have 3 things I have to do, right? I have these things. Those are unfuckwithable. I have to get them done. There's deadlines, there's things, there's stuff. Okay, fine. But past that, there'll be other things that come in, paperwork and stuff. You know what it comes down to? Elbow grease. I love to go home at 8 o'clock and have dinner with Lee and then just plop on the couch and do 3 hours of watching some TV. That's kind of rare sometimes, but in this last month since we've been home, I've been able to do a bunch of those, where I just do nothing and like play solitaire on my phone or play some little bubblet game or whatever on my phone and just nerd out.
Do you feel like you're able to just turn it off and be peaceful and like?
Well, no, because what I'm getting at is it's always right there on the tip of my tongue. Like, oh shit, when I get there tomorrow morning, I have to do this. So what I do a lot at night? I remind myself of the important stuff the next morning. And those are just little emails I send to myself to say, don't forget this. If something comes to me in epiphany at 11:14 and I'm laying there watching Netflix, I remind myself right away and then get that and stacked up in my emails, and it just becomes a to-do list, and that's how I keep myself in check, because otherwise, what I have to do a lot is if something's psyching me out too much and I'm on the couch, I'll get up off the couch, go get my laptop out at the house, plug it in and get going and knock it out, right? That is twofold. Sometimes just to get the thing off the list. Other times it's because I'm like at optimum something and I can just do a really good job, and I feel it and then I got it. Other times I can't even drag myself to the screen, so that around the shop, I just misplace that energy. That's when I do my recycling. That's when I get a broom. That's when I, clean things up or organize the merch or number some posters. I'm always pushing forward. It's either reminding myself, but, like the thing that happens, and I've seen people get, crippled's a weird word, but to just get held down by it, then they can't make any work, and they might need someone to talk to, not just work, their lives. You might have to have someone to reach out to say, hey, we can help with this. This is how we're going to help you think about this a little differently, and I don't know, a lot of what I do, it's just kind of good old fashioned kind of elbow grease where it's like, I just, until the shit's done, like, right now, I'm going to click on my thing here. I'm going to see how many emails came in because, even since we've been talking for, an hour, there are, 16 new things to deal with. And that is just weird to me. It's like, some of it is, look at this new typeface from this new thing. Okay, you put that into your whatever. You get rid of that quick. But the ones that actually have an ask, I don't just delete it. I have to respectfully say I don't have time for that project, but I'm still dealing with it. If one of those 16 or whatever is some kid tattling on another kid because they think that I missed something on someone else's Instagram, I'm still dealing with it. Whether or not I agree or don't agree, I'm still like looking at it and going, oh, another one of these. Well, I'll write back and say, do not go shame that person. Done. And then I write back, just, hey, be cool. I don't give a shit. He's not, whatever. She's not. Who cares? Just keep making, whatever. I don't. Sometimes it's so toxic, but still, there's 18 things in there that I'll go figure out. we're not even, it's 11 o'clock in the AM here, you know, and there'll be what, another 35 more things by 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I want to leave at 5 and go do things, but no, I'll probably work from just 5 to 7, cleaning that all up, you know, dabbing the sweat off the brow of all these sweaty fucks who, you know, wrote me or whatever, you know, nervous about it.
Sorry.
I mean, this is,
Yes.
here's the weird part we're in. I can tell by the like aggressive language in these things, passive aggressive language. If I don't reply, I'm going to hear from them the next morning yet again.
Yes.
And that is a weird thing where I'm just kind of like, what can I do? I got myself into this free something I'm working on, you know, but so it just takes a certain, okay. I met a buddy a couple years ago who said, you need to sort of say no email until 1 p.m. Do 1 to 2, then work your 2 to 7, and then do email from 7 to 8. Done.
Heard that.
You know when that
Tried
happens
that.
sometimes? It happens, you know, help, Lisa, help me. It happens when I'm on a plane. And then I realize, oh, for those last 5 hours, I didn't fucking monitor that stuff and watch it. So I'm learning how to just close that stuff off and then go back and nail it for 10, 15 minutes and then jump out of it and go do everything else. You know, it's like, you know, this is, I know I've probably strayed from the question, but, you know, it's just this weird thing where like, I'm just going to stop.
No, I love it.
That was helpful.
Yeah, no, absolutely love it. I think a lot of people could do with hearing about just the correct way to treat people. And I know it shouldn't be necessary. To me, it should be obvious. It's how the four of us treat people with our clients and our customers. I know it's how you treat people. But I think with that certain respect, whether it's a customer or a client, and I love how you do that, whether it's, I know with field notes, you do a lot of like handwritten notes for people and those little gestures. I know with clients, you're very amenable to revisions and being very patient with them. And I think it's almost become this cliche, right? In the design community, you see all these memes about how clients are the devils. And it's like, well, they pay for you to live the life which you're meant to love, right? Is there anything to be said kind of beyond that, you think, in terms of just people getting that right mindset? Like, here's how to actually respect people and do stuff the right way.
You know, Tom, I could tell you have your act together with one email. You know, you didn't need to send me 40 emails. One email was pretty concise. It told me how to download the stuff, how to get the thing ready, the times and the things. Sure, there were some notifications, but we could all learn how to waste less time for each other. So like little things I do in my life. It's like last night when I finished this little detail package for my buddy's new starter thing that's coming out. You know, I know better than just to fire off an Illustrator file at, I don't even know what I'm on, CC, the latest shit. I know better. Because frankly, the guy who's taking that logo, he's on a plane right now to Vietnam to go build these things in Vietnam, these bags. Right? I don't know what they have in Vietnam. It's state of the art, probably, but they might not even have Adobe CC, whatever the hell. So I know to go save that fucker back to about 5, you know, or 4, I don't know. I also know to put in a PDF that someone could open up no matter what in their Illustrator, because not only is that quick view for my buddy who doesn't have Illustrator on his machine, he can actually see what he's looking at, right? Oh, those are the pieces I'm going to be talking about to the guy going, what I'm getting at here is like, you know, you did a good job. You know, when I got the thing, because it told me there was enough space in between the big ideas. Like there's just space. Like, don't type in all caps. You know, that's why I make fun of it on my Twitter when I put hashtag all caps, because I see some knucklehead do it, and then I love to, you know, I go on punctuation strikes. I just type in one stream of like, you know, your aunt who just has no idea. Like, how does she even get through the world? How does she even, not one of my aunts, I'm just saying an uncle that has just no idea. And there's just no punctuation. You know, if you're saying you are or you're, there's just Y-O-U-R, because it kind of sounds right, you know? Okay, well, then I'll just damage that stuff because it's fun, you know? But we need to be really smart how we how we kill 10 birds with one stone with an email, you know?
So it's the little things and it's the finesse.
They all add up, or just being respectful to say, thank you for your time. Using, you know, if Dustin wrote me and he said, hey, I want you to try some of our plugins, I'd say, man, I looked at them. They're cool. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure I wrote you back, you know, and said, hey, Dustin, thanks, man. I'm too busy to do this right now. I'm sorry. But hey, I'll put a link up for, or whatever, you know, I mean, you know, because it's the least I could do. I could figure that out. But instead of just like the stuff that I'm having to like, and you could see it just kind of messes with me. I get 10 to 15 a day now of kids wanting to interview me for their school. And there's just no way to do it.
It's too much.
And that must suck, right? If you're an amenable guy, you want to say yes, right?
Well, you fear that one kid's going to be like, he didn't write me back. He talks about how he writes everybody back. But I have form letters and just say, you guys, I'm just too busy, man. But here's my latest list of people you ought to go hit up. Lauren Dickens and Tad Carpenter and Rob Jennerett and blah, 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 all these other people, you know, buddies. Hit them up. They got knowledge too, you know, and whatever. But you guys, I'm sitting on a plane. I can't get this done. I'm sleeping. I'm doing something else, you know, but that's hard to let those things go. But anyone who asks me to do a logo, be it, you can kind of tell if they just write you and go, hey, what are your logo prices? You know, you're like, I mean, well, that just tells you everything you need to know. If Lisa wrote me, because she seems to be the nicest out of this group of incorrigibles. You know, if Lisa wrote me and she said, hi, you know, Aaron, I'm looking for some logo prices. I'm wondering if you have time to take this thing on. She will get a reply from me that says, I'm sorry, I just can't do it right now. I'm over my head. I have too much other stuff going on. But thank you for considering me and take care. And I have to do that because she was civil with me and then I was civil back. That takes time, you know, and there's an exchange there. And now if it's the guys who are, you know, let us help boost your SEO optimization. We did an analysis of your site. Spam, because I didn't ask them for that. But I can tell a human. That takes time. I meet people when they hear me waxing about this stuff that just say, you just need to worry nothing about that. Just click. But I'm always fearful that some kid who put his heart out to me in a paragraph.
Yeah, me too.
That he put it out there. I'm writing back. And just to say, you guys, I'm busy, you know, whatever. So, you know, you can see
and not even from a self-preservation way, but I know a bunch of people who've met celebrities and maybe, you know, they're having a busy day and they just didn't shake their hand or they didn't respond or whatever, like a little gesture. And suddenly from that one interaction, 1,000 people hear that particular celebrity is a douchebag. And that's kind of high pressure. Like, I agree with you, treat people the right way. Like, we're super all about that at my company, but it's almost like you can't have a bad day. You can't have a bad moment. You can't ignore one email. You can't go to sleep because you're worried of the ripple effect, right?
What did I just see? I just saw Bryan Cranston. We discussed this, you know, Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad, where he said, you guys, I can't sign anything anymore. For 25 years, I have signed stacks of stuff, and he showed this stack of stuff. Because what's going to happen? He's going to spend 6 hours doing it. And I'm really conflicted with that. Hey man, you asked for it. You get these paychecks. You asked for it. You have 40 million in the bank. Find the time. There's a part of me that says that. Another part of me says, wow, he kind of did his time already. Let him breathe. Let him enjoy that 40 million. So I don't even know which way to go with that. You know, in my little goofy situation, I have people come up to me and treat me and they say, is it okay if you sign this for me? Yes, it is okay. I mean, it's goofy, but I'm taking guitar lessons right now from a guy who was in a band in Portland called Hazel, Pete Krebs. Pete is just a guy who lives in a small house, has an incredible, you know, music history, has a dog, and lives a simple life. I made him sign my records. He made these objects, and I want a signature on there. It's special to me as a fan. He personalized it. So I have never turned any of that stuff down. None of it. If a kid wants to take a selfie, they get to pick from 1 to 9 selfies. Which one do you want? You want me to draw, you know, the murder tear on your eye right here, you know, and you go get it tattooed and get 15% off the DDC merch table for life? Let's go. You know, this is like, they're stupid, but you know, these are stupid little gestures, but it's like, there's time. You know, when we go to that Adobe thing every year, there's 12,000 people. And I want to say I did something like 1,500 or something like selfies last year. That's crazy. But it was really cool. And you meet people. And some of those people are my friends. Yeah. They're friends that we become buddies. And now we're past the autograph part. But, what an incredible privilege to have someone who's looking. I'm not used to looking up to me. I'm looking like this. I'm the guy in the crowd going, oh, man, I love that band. And I'm looking at their gear, and I'm looking at how their T-shirt graphics look like, the album. I'm looking at how they put their gear together. I'm that guy studying that stuff. Well, that kind of happens the reverse way too, and it's like now people are really studying me, and it's like I'm making the time for them because my heroes did for me. Every time you went and saw this guy named Mike Watt could have gotten that car or that van an hour earlier onto the next thing, but he just knew the power of what it meant to me. I will be a Mike Watt fan for life because he autographed or shook my...
the bass player?
Yeah. Mike Watt. Yeah. I mean, this is, from Fire Hose and Minutemen and all that stuff, Pedro, Mike Watt. But what I'm saying is, that's how I'm trying to live my life with this stuff. I want to be a Mike Watt of graphic design, which is, he might never make it big, but he does good work. He documents it all. He's good to his fans. He's good to his buddies. He's good to his bandmates. He's a Kano. This sweatshirt is 3 years old. This T-shirt, Lee was making fun of me because it's got a hole. See the hole? That's a big hole. But, I just like this T-shirt. It's like, just zip the sweatshirt up a little bit, and then the hole is solved. It's like,
Aaron, you don't mind if we you don't mind if we kind of SEO this episode, right? Stick it up on YouTube like Aaron Draplin Peep Show. Get a load of hits on that. Done. It's going to get 1 million views.
I really like the fact that you were into BMXs when you were younger. Yeah, so was I. Do you still have that same passion for them in terms of, the design and stuff? Have you ever worked with a BMX brand? Have you ever got to do a logo for one?
No. By the time I graduated out of BMX to skateboarding, I was a skateboarder then. When I was 13 or 12 and 11, 12, I had a bike. I had a Haro, 12 years old, 13 years old, but was starting to skateboard. But I started to identify with skateboarding, and then it became it became the enthusiast sort of thing, where it's like, I live it, breathe it, read the magazines, use the language, love the bands, love the logos, love the stuff. And then, there was that same precise subculture in BMX. But I had left that world, because then what the skateboarding did was it introduced me to snowboarders, which was a whole nother tribal set. Same bunch of shit. In BMX, there's the bad guy. In BMX, there's the girl that's just, showing up the dudes. In BMX, there's the guy that had to find Jesus because he got in trouble with some drugs. There's the guy that's got the tattoos. There's the guy that's these archetypes apply to graphic design. They apply to probably cops. They apply to, whatever, everything, bands. And then when you start to smell that and go, well, this was my little frame of mind, to answer your question, by the time I was, had the chance to do stuff, it was for skateboarding and snowboarding, but it was the same exact stuff. It was helping a little brand become bigger. It was working for the biggest brands inside snowboarding and realizing when I got 1 year out of it, they were tiny little things. They were tiny little things. One of the hardest things for me as a skateboarder growing up who looked up to these guys is to realize just what a bunch of fucking beach scrubs they were from Southern California. Barely pay a bill, much less keep a company running, right? Well, you have to realize that, when you're 25 years old and you see you're one of your heroes hammered, barge into the summer camp you're working at, and this is a guy that was on your wall, and he's hammered, and he's just jumping the fence because he's got a name. Well, I'm taking notes, and I was like, ooh, he is just a kind of a brute jock like anyone else.
Yep.
I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that in whatever I was in that year, or my love of music, or my love of guitar. I don't want to be that in my love of design. But, it shifts. The focus shifts, and I remember when I freed myself from snowboarding in 1997-ish, it was cool because it wasn't about, chasing the snow. It was about chasing employment. It was different, and it was a different set of focuses and a different set of hurdles to jump. The hurdles we jumped in snowboarding just 3 or 4 years before that was need to get out west. We did that. I want to ride and hit big jumps like the guys I see in magazines do out west. Cool. We did that. I want to go all over the west. We did that. When I got to the end of that orbit and it started to become this circular thing, I was done. And it was okay to move on to the next thing. Now, granted, I have buddies to this day who'll say, you don't go up to the hill anymore? Why? Like I'm betraying them or something. It's like, no, I go up to a different hill every day. It's called this shop. Why aren't you trying something new? Whatever that is. So, frankly, I'm really excited to see what the next phase of that is.
That was going to be my question, actually.
I know what you're going to ask.
Well, a little birdie told me you might be working on your second book. Is that true? Is that anything you can share?
That little birdie is under contractual obligation to shut the fucking mouth. No. No, if you've heard that, no, nothing's in the works. I mean, of course, there's some ideas, and they want to do it again because we sold so many books. Awesome. Thank you for everyone who bought a book. Thank you so much. But no, because frankly, it's such a jarring thing. Like that whole summer, I had to work on the book. I had other projects, but I had to make that summer for that. And it would have to be that again. But, look at that stack of books behind me. I love it, right? It's still going. We are coming up on 2 years, May 16th. That is amazing since it came out. Wow. And it still continues to sell. At last count, 45,000.
Wow.
Oh,
wow,
nice.
That's
best
amazing.
part is because they were affordable.
Yeah.
Right? Hopefully the book's good. I'm a little biased, but it was affordable. If you get it off Amazon right this second, click $27 or something. That's awesome to me because then a kid can get it, or that grad student who's going to pick it apart, and come after me. They can get it too for a fair price. It's not $150. It's $27 off Amazon. So I'm really proud of that. But to answer that, I have ideas. I've got them articulated out into little things, but you just have to do it when the time's right, And I've been thinking pretty hard about how to do it in a fun new way because frankly, when I called it pretty much everything, that's your one-time shot. That's how I looked at it. That's how I looked at my entire career. I better make good use of making logos because this could all go away. Sort of. I'm on this weird kick now where I have to wrap my head around that it's going to continue to go well. And I'm going to continue to get jobs and offers. And that isn't going away. And you can see how I don't even know how to parse that. I'm a fighter, a scrapper, a hustler to go after this stuff. For whatever we worked on yesterday, that was for on the clock for someone. There was a lot of stuff that was just for me. Or for Lee's brand, notes to self, right? Everybody go to _notes, _self, notes to self with some underscores. Go find it and look at my girl's little feminist brand that she's making with some fun.
I saw it. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
I'm helping her with that. And, that's something that's helping, she has this creative muscle. She's been watching me for all these years ball hog this shit. And now she's seeing that she can do it too. And, today, this afternoon, is she a graphic designer? Not per se. But she's got ideas. She's got an instrument she can work with. And then you start seeing, and she can go a little bit of funding to help getting it going. She just did an order where she sold 400 of her stickers. 400 stickers. Wow. That is so cool to me.
Good for her.
What if it was only 40 stickers? It still would have been really good. But 400, that's some real stuff. And I'm watching her manifest that. So I love to help that stuff out. So, that part of me where I need to learn to coast because what I was talking about being a BMX kid at 13, being a skateboarder at 14 up to 18 or 19, being a snowboarder all those years up to 23 or 4, being a graphic designer only from 24 on or whatever it's been, with the focus for that stuff. Well, I was a music collector in there somewhere too. I was a guitar player in there. I was a traveler. I was a son. I was all kinds of things. I'm excited for the next thing. I don't know what that is, but maybe it's not making another book. I think I could probably do another book, and I have a bunch of fun ideas, but maybe it's about spending more time at home. Maybe it's about going and helping people more. Maybe it's about, trying to go and build furniture as an apprentice somewhere. Like I'm open to that. I know how to make logos and sell posters, and the sickness I have in here is I don't know how to say no to myself. I just keep going and hustling because I watch over a lot of people with this stuff, right? I built that. I'm proud of that. It's proud as shit, but it becomes a monster.
It does.
Yeah. Well, you definitely have a lot of projects going on, and so maybe thinking not quite so long term, because that's like the big introspective question, I guess. But how about this year? Have you got any, not even so much plans, but just stuff lined up? Dave actually said you need to ask Aaron, is he coming to the UK in 2018?
First things first, I want to live through the year. I want to make it to 45 in October. That's the first thing. But to answer old Mr. Clayton, yes, I will be there on May 1st through the 7th in London Town there. It's a town in the southeast of the UK to look into. Spirited people and tricky cobblestones where you twist the fuck out of your ankle like I did in 2005. I fell so hard, just wham, and people came up to me and I was like, how do you get a broken ankle fixed in the UK when you're a dumb American?
Well, the great answer is for free.
Yeah.
I know. Adopt me. I know. It's amazing. I know. Well, that was the first thing that came to my mind. It wasn't being embarrassed. It was like, I'm going to get this fixed. I know what my insurance is back home. Okay. But the answer is yes. May 1 through May 7, we are locked in, and I'll be in London for Travel Portland, which is this thing where, Travel Portland, like Portland needs more people to come to Portland, but they do, I guess. And we're going to the UK to talk about Oregon, and every day it's, there's going to be, I think it's, what would that be? 4th, 5th, and 6th. I'll be doing a talk and then doing a little retail thing, as part of Portland, goodies and items and things and stuff, and then doing my talk each day too. And I'm pretty sure that's just open to everybody to come to that thing.
Cool. Well, hopefully Ian and I can pop in and buy you a drink.
Well, come on over. Come on. The idea is, I get some nasty emails from people saying, well, you've done South Carolina enough. When you coming over here? But those are hard to do because you need a couple days to acclimate. You got to get your shit together. Last year I did one with that Adobe thing. It was 3 days. I flew there, was upside down, did my talk, I went back to the room because it's like I don't know how to say it. You're staying up for 17 hours and you're doing your talk at 3:31 in the morning your time. Your body's just messed with. So there's other ones. I'm going to Berlin for Typo coming up in May for that one. There's another possible one that I'm probably not allowed to talk about, but has something to do. I'm not going to talk about it, but it's going to be in the UK, and that one's coming. But this is, of course, after in the last year and a half, we did 100 shows in the van, and I kind of said I'm taking a break. 350 plus shows, that's enough now, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
But they dangle the hook. Yeah, I bite on that shit, big flounder. I bite on that hook. The bait is it's fun to go to the UK. I will, it's fun to go to London. It's the city of the world, and it's amazing. And it won't even really be about, I just want to go walk around those weird streets, a little bit. You go hit a couple record stores. That's as selfish as I can be. That's my paycheck when I go to do that.
Well, totally depends how full your schedule is. But yeah, Ian and I would happily look out for you and show you some cool places while you're here.
Well, I'm just hoping you guys will adopt me when we get there. I could be, Aaron
we'll get the paperwork in place.
I don't currently have an uncle, so I'm kind of looking for an uncle figure. I feel like that could work.
Tom, I'm your dad.
You got a lot more hair than my dad.
Turns out, I'm your dad. I'm sorry, Tom, but no.
We're breaking it on the show, breaking the big news.
All right. I've been, these kids come up to me, they go, "Oh my God, I'm a fan. I love your beard. And I say, "Carl, I'm your dad." And the kid just.
So, Aaron, I am more than happy to talk about any projects that you maybe want to close on, but I will say it's been really refreshing, and hopefully is for the listeners. I hate when people have big guests on and it's like an 80% pitch fest, and and no real discussion. So it's been really refreshing actually digging in and getting your honest thoughts and stuff. That's been incredibly refreshing. But I'm absolutely going to link up all your big projects. We'll put it in the show notes. I'll do it in the intro and outro. But anything you want to get into now, please be my guest.
You guys could find it in your heart to go to draplin.com and buy a piece of merch. We'll ship that shit to the UK too. You can. You can.
I'm going to get the whole team here wearing it. Don't worry.
You're not going to bring it. You're not going to bring your little pop-up stand.
Let me get a word in here, okay? You can go on fieldnotesbrand.com and buy 3 books for $9.95. I mean, what'd you pay for your coffee? Yeah, you could do that. You can go and roll and Skillshare and have your life revolutionized by a couple of these students. I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about. Like you can go buy. Guys, let me get a word in here. You can go buy that book for $27 right now. Get one for your buddy. Break the ice with your next door neighbor. Here's a podcast game people play. Uh-oh, another plug. Yawn. Why are any of us doing it? To talk about your shit. When you listen to Mark Maron and he has to go, oh, here's the part where we talk about, your movie. Tell me about it. Why should I be interested? I don't care what you had this morning for breakfast. Sometimes, it's like, it's okay to tell me about your new projects. Unfortunately, there's just like a lot of stuff I can't talk about. The stuff I can talk about are like, go on my Instagram and you can see the newest hat I have, which is all black. Or you can go and get one of the cool buttons I made, or not so cool, or whatever. That's all stuff that's just kind of fair game. But I think the weird part is if you didn't ask me, Tom, and I didn't talk about it, that's okay too. Hopefully I sold them on me, little old me, and this thing here, and they'll go do a search for my shit and then go land on something and dig it. That's the confidence.
We've given you a lot of shout outs on the show historically, and we're going to continue to do so. And as I say, massive inspiration, I think, for all 4 of us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
We beyond appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and being such an amazing guest. So thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah,
it's
been great.
I really recommend something that really impacted me, and it was the first time I came across you, was your 50-point plan to ruin your career. Which was...
It's 77 points now.
Is it? Oh, it's growing. What inspired you, just quickly before we finish, what inspired you to come up with that 50-point plan?
Well, I watched a bunch of talks that were boring as shit.
That's a good answer.
Brilliant.
I like that.
I don't know. It's...
That's it.
No, it's not necessarily it, but it's just like I went. I paid for some of that stuff. That's like the wrong way to say it. That's just kind of being a dick, because it's like when people use the word authentic around me, you gotta be really careful, because I just went to a thing and they had a Q&A with all of us up on there, in front of everybody. There's 6 people sitting with microphones. And they said, God, Aaron Draplin, you're just so authentic. What's it say about the other 5 people sitting there?
Yeah.
You don't say that shit. You just don't. What do you, that's all I'm like, hey, if making coffee jokes and making jokes about plugins on her podcast is her authentic, that's authentic too. Don't, you got to be careful how you sort of like, I just did it right there. I just said something that was kind of stupid. And it's like, the fact is, I've been to a lot of great talks too that blew my mind. And it wasn't, then we did this, then we did that, then we did this, then we did that. No, I got sick. Here's how I got out of being sick. And while I was there, something scary, right? Those were great, but to answer your question, Ian, it's like, well, I just tried to look at that medium as like, what's the weirdest way I could like be self-deprecating, try to have something stick to the ribs, show some new work, show some free work, show some paying work, and let it be a roller coaster. And then, that's what it came up to, and yes, like what's so fun about that thing is it can be 27 points. It can be 77 points. It can be 50. It's still fun, hopefully, like even on a weird number, 47 points. That's almost more fun because it's like,
why 47? Yeah.
Why not 48? Why not 50?
Yeah.
Why not 100? Whatever. But it's like, there's just an odd fuckery there of like, these are the 47 things you need to hear, you know. But I'm glad you dug it. That one still has a lot of mileage, which is
yeah. And definitely, and it reiterates your point about just enjoying being in the moment of designing and not looking forward to a time when you can.
This is kind of off the record, but you know, in our little town here, when we did that one, we sold out the first one, which was 250 people, and we sold out a second one. Now, they didn't know I was going to do 47 points or whatever it was, or 50 points or whatever. They just were excited to come see me. I mean, I was standing there like terrified that this wasn't going to be good enough. You guys have to understand, if it was for 5 people or 4 of you, I'd still be the same way talking about my shit, you know? Or 500 people over the course of 2 shows. That I was like exhausted at the end of that thing, because it was like, oh my God, the lifting you have to do just with your brain, because they're recording both. You're going to be able to see the lies between the two. That's a lot to think about, you know? Because now I get people who come and follow me at these shows, and it'll be like, did you notice how some of the numbers change from thing to thing? Because a lot of it's bullshit, you know?
It's like the geeks who point out continuity errors in movies and stuff like that.
Oh, I get that. You know, people come to me and say, you know, you did say that it was 41,000 for the last book, you know? And I said, no, just, you guys, I'm a person, and I'm just, hopefully what you get away from it is that asshole can exist. That's pretty fun. You know, that's what you get. You could be you can polish a turd. You can get a little, you know, get a little rag and little spray stuff. You know, just, you know, you can, you know, a little bit. You can.
The imagery is just priceless.
That can be the cover art.
Oh my goodness, absolutely.
Yeah, we design a bit of custom cover art for each episode. One of us will go away and like do a piece of artwork which represents the kind of crux of the episode. So that might be it right there.
It could be a bunny turd.
Yeah, a bunny just laid a turd and it's getting polished. Nice. Well, Aaron, thanks again so much. Like, absolute star for coming on. Hopefully we can chat to you in the future. And once again, we just appreciate it. I'm sure the listeners are going to enjoy it as much as we have. And thanks from all of us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah,
all right,
thanks.
guys. You'll listen.
Great to meet you.
You know, at I don't know how you guys scraped together $25,000 to do this, but thank you. That money is heavily taxed, but Lisa, you're going to be going without for a couple months. And, well, Ian, you're going to have to get a little small personal loan. And, well, Dustin, you got your own set of problems. And Tom, you're just so good looking. I don't know what else to say, but
that's going on my tombstone.
Thanks, you guys. See you around.
Aaron, thanks so much. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. That was honestly one of our favourite episodes ever to record, and we hope that you really enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed recording it. I was personally feeling super inspired after chatting with Aaron, so I hope that he lit a fire in your belly when it comes to your passion for design, authenticity, and breaking the mold. As always, you can find full show notes over at honestdesigners.com or find us over on iTunes by searching for The Honest Designers Show. If today's episode helped you, then it would seriously mean the world to us if you took just a moment to leave us a quick review over on iTunes, as this is one of the best ways for your fellow designers to discover the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next week right here on The Honest Designers Show.